All right, folks. Well, you know you're in for a treat when you hear that tune, because it's time for another week of the RecPoker Podcast. I'm Jim Reid. I'm your host. Every week, I go by Bluffsterini in the home game and at RecPoker Jim on socials, and I have the best freaking job in the world talking poker with my friends on the every Monday night at 7:30 Eastern, live on YouTube. You can join us for free and win a prize just for showing up. And I want to remind our listeners, it's 7:30 Eastern now, but starting on September 15th, you'll be joining us at 9 o'clock Eastern. We're sliding a little later, and we've got some other cool stuff coming up in September and beyond for Rec Poker Nation. But yeah, circle that, September 15th. Get in here at 9 p.m., not at 7:30 anymore. All right, we are going to speak to Claudio Elizalde in just a moment. First, I'm proud to share we're brought to you by Running Aces. They are the official sponsor of the RecPoker Podcast. You can find out more about them at runaces.com. Most of what we do here is free. We're a largely volunteer-based organization, so we really depend on support from our sponsors and from our premium members who take part in our training material and study opportunities for only $22 a month. Sign up for a free account at rec.poker today. All it takes is an email address and a smile. And you know we love supporting food banks around here. So if you want to check out the perks of our premium membership, just make a donation of any amount to your local food bank, even $1. Send us the receipt, and we'll happily send you your first month of premium membership for free as a way of saying thanks for helping out your fellow human. Now, speaking of fellow humans, you get to know my voice because they let me host the show on Mondays, but I'm only one man. It takes a crew to make the magic happen around here. We call our leadership council the RECing Crew. If you want to learn more about me or the rest of the RECing Crew, you can go to rec.poker/crew or just listen up. We got a full house. Some of them are even in the room with me tonight. John Somsky, Lorianne Persinger, Rob Washam, Joe Coolis, and invisible producer Rob Gardner. Hey, gang. It is Monday night. We're here for the RecPoker Podcast. It's one of the last weeks. We're doing it at 7:30. It's going to be a little later later on in just a little while. What's new and exciting in people's lives before we get into this fantastic interview? Lorianne, you've got some exciting news, I think.
Oh, I'm going first? Okay. I've got some exciting news. Yes, I'll be celebrating a birthday later this week on August 31st, the big 5'9". I haven't quite gotten to 60 just yet, but I'm inching so close. And hubby and I are our date night this week, no poker, but we are going to see the one and only Bruno Mars. So I am excited. And I will definitely be doing some head bopping during that concert, I guarantee you.
Well, happy early
to get
birthday.
My groove on. Well, thank you.
Nice. Yeah. Sounds like you're celebrating in style.
Mm-hmm.
Is he doing a residency down there? Is he a full-time Vegas guy these days?
No, he comes and goes every few months. Yeah, and
I think probably the best way to explain.
Yeah,
best way to explore Vegas.
But he's constantly touring. So when he leaves Vegas, he goes somewhere else. And it's funny because from what I understand and from what I've seen, we're the only venue where he tours that we cannot have cell phones. And I still don't know why that is. They take our cell phones at the beginning of the concert. Yeah, and they put them in bags and
right.
Yeah.
I've heard that now. He wants people to be focused on the actual experience itself and not like creating the record of it.
But that's only in Vegas, it appears, because I mean, you can go on YouTube and see his concerts that people have filmed from LA all around the world. So it's just that, but there's nothing from Vegas. And it was that way last year too. We couldn't have cell phones.
You know, interestingly, coincidence, next week we're having Bruno Mars on the podcast. Why don't we just ask him in person?
Are we? Okay.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know. Quite an avid poker player, Bruno Mars.
I didn't know that myself. Yes, I will probably be here for that one. Yeah.
You don't want to miss that totally not made up interview next week on the RecPoker Podcast.
And I will be perfectly cool. Trust me, I will not know. I wish. So I can make a total fool of myself.
All right, what else? Who else has been getting up to something in the poker world this week?
So I had the universe come smack me in the face a couple weeks ago.
Oh,
I was, it had been following the big terrible bill as it went through Congress and was always like, well, I never make any money, so I don't have to worry about the taxes. But apparently now I'm making enough money on Club WPT Gold that they want a W-9 form for me in order to remove any more money because I've cleared $400 into withdrawals. And so suddenly now I'm like, now do I take the money off and pay the taxes? And is that making it harder for me to actually be a winning player? And so I'm very sad. I know you all feel bad for me,
Yeah, these are the first world problems of winning poker players. Exactly.
Paying taxes on $400, huh?
Yeah, well, it's more than that. $400, you're okay if you go above that. So just let your imagination run. I'm sure it's like $1 billion.
Well, congratulations on the humble brag anyway there.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. I shouted out on a recent episode, actually, we're not buying the shucks, just me, Joe Coolis act that you have going on here.
Nope.
You've proven to be a winner in the online games you're playing. You've been a leaderboard resident for the Player of the Year series, and you won last year's Marek Madness. So we're on to you, buddy. You know exactly what you're doing.
I'm a terrible player.
Yeah, exactly. Invite me to your game.
Yeah, that's right.
He says. All right. Well, speaking of folks that you'd like to invite to your home game, we've got a fun one today. You might know him as Audio Cloud Live. He's Claudio Elizalde. He's a popular poker streamer, a personality. In fact, I'm already making the first mistake. I should never put our guests in a box myself. Let's start the interview officially by saying welcome and thank you so much, Claudio, for coming on the RecPoker Podcast.
Thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here.
It's going to be a fun conversation, man. So don't let me put you in a box. I'm going to open up the same way I do with all our guests. How would you define your own role in the poker world today?
The way I think that I would define my personal role would be probably as an example, because I think that I don't have some illustrious resume, but I've been either working in poker or around poker or playing for years now. And I guess similar to kind of what your story is, right? Because like you said, you've got the best job in the world. It was an interest that I just kept showing up at and kept being interested and kept wanting to be better. And I know Lorianne would recognize me better in a black T-shirt with the Poker News logo on it, because I've spent 3 summers as a reporter at the World Series. So yeah, I mean, I guess just as an example, when you let your interests lead you, what might happen.
I love it. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
And what a great opportunity to be able to sort of follow your interests and find up with an occupation, with something to fill your time with it. That's the dream, man. I love to hear that. So we're going to start with our lightning round, opening the action, and then we'll solicit some questions from our YouTube chatters, and then we'll get into it. But let's get started. Invisible producer Rob Gardner put 2 minutes on the clock. Claudio, the goal here for opening the action is just fast, quick answers. Give us the short one that just pops into your brain. It has to be true, but you can say pass. Are you ready?
Okay.
All right. Opening the action with Claudio Elizalde. Let's start with an easy one. Claudio, what is your favorite poker hand?
6-7 suited.
Nice. Is poker a gamble or a skill game?
Skill.
What's your biggest poker pet peeve?
When people make the dealer reach for their cards.
Is Die Hard a Christmas movie?
Yes.
Is Ace King a drawing hand?
No.
Is a hot dog a sandwich?
No.
Dogs or cats?
Cats.
What's one thing you're afraid of?
Failure.
Tournaments or cash play?
Tournaments.
Should vacations be lazy or busy?
Lazy.
Red wine or white wine?
Red wine.
What's one thing you complain about in your life?
Running bad.
Pineapple on pizza, yes or no?
Nah.
Do you prefer playing live or online?
Live.
Name one player you respect, just their name.
Phil Galfond.
There's a yellow light coming up. Slow down or speed up?
Slow down.
Who is your poker nemesis? We all have one.
Oh, Ace Rag off, Gigi Kennedy, Francis Javier. That's all the same person.
Beautiful,
Yeah.
Beautiful. I know. I feel your pain. Are you pro chop or no chop?
Pro chop.
Name one musical artist you enjoy.
Anderson .Paak.
Toilet paper hanging from the back or from the front?
From the back.
Slow rolls, yes or no?
Yes.
What is your edge at the tables?
I see everything.
Would you rather fight one horse-sized duck or 100 duck-sized horses?
One horse-sized duck.
How do you? Oh, okay, that was a good one. We got through a lot there. That was an excellent performance.
The last one put me in a blender. I had to imagine what 100 little horses look like. I was like, I don't know, they might still be pretty strong.
Yeah, I think that's definitely the cutest visual that you can have is the 100 duck-sized horses. I want all 100 of those in my yard at all times. Yeah. That feels like I want those as pets. That sounds delectable. All right, so that was opening the action. We're going to let our proprietary algorithm run in the background for a while and come up with a score for you. We'll find out at the end of the show. Thanks for playing with that. That was great. I want to throw to our YouTube audience. I see already we've got a couple new names in here. Hi there, Kenny322. And I love when folks get active in the YouTube. In fact, let's throw Kenny a bone here. We'll add one question. Put this one back on the clock, Claudia. Room temperature or cold tomatoes?
Room temperature. That's my boy. Room temperature.
Nice. Well, be like Kenny322 and get your questions for Claudio into the YouTube chat here. And we're also going to be playing Stake Study Stack at the end of the show. So regular listeners will know we're looking for names of poker players or streamers or other industry professionals that we can get Claudio really feeling uncomfortable as he has to try and define a role with these people. And of course, stick around till the end of the show. We're going to be doing our food bank raffle at the end with real prizes. That's brought to you by Ramp Poker, and we'll help support a local food bank as well. So with that being said, let's dive into the questions.
So I have the first question, and I know everyone is going to want to hear about your poker exploits and everything. But some of my research suggests that you're actually a fairly established poet, including doing poetry slams, and some of the stuff I saw was fairly self-referential. How'd you get into that? And what is it about words and poetry that make that almost a third of your identity online, from what I could tell?
Wow, yeah, good research. I actually just hosted a poetry event last week. Hold on. My screen cut out for a second. Sorry. I hope you guys can still hear me.
Yeah, everything's good.
Okay, good. I have been writing for a long time. I got into poetry specifically in my late teens, competing in slams. I've always been competitive in everything I did. So getting a score helped to motivate me in my late teens to write more and perform more, get in front of the mic. And then I was in a little hip hop crew throughout my 20s and was performing, doing freestyle shows and stuff. And then I kind of circled back and started writing again, started performing again. There's a really nice local scene in Oregon where I live. So I fell into that. But it honestly, language was my first obsession. As soon as I was able to read comfortably, I was reading books every single day. Even to the point where my mom would be like, get your nose out of the book, go outside, go do something different, which usually parents need to do the opposite. They need to encourage their kid to read. But I just, I've been writing and reading as long as I have been able to. It is. It's a big part of my life, and it's kind of come full circle that it's become a focus in my life again. And I was recently commissioned to do a piece by the Lane County Transit Department, and I did that. And I've been hosting a quarterly poetry event that I sort of curate myself.
So just as a real quick follow-up, some poets like just language, right? And they're playing with the language and they're moving it around. Some poets are very much into, well, this is expressing certain beliefs I have, or a raw look into myself without actually just very bluntly putting it. Where do you see yourself as a poet?
Yeah, that's actually a really thoughtful question. Everybody as a human who feels any amount of extroversion, even if you're an introvert, people care about being understood. And I think because of my particular background, I do use a lot of connotation in my writing, and I use, but it's less emotional, although it can be emotionally charged. It's of course poetry, but it is often more like for me, it's always like I enjoy the puzzle of it. So a lot of like my syllable placement, if I do use rhyming, it's somewhat intricate inside and outside rhyming, and for me, it's a puzzle of matching together the meaning of words, the connotation of words, and as well as communicating something, right? Because if you're not communicating anything, there's no point. So yeah, I suppose I'm both in terms of what it matters to me, but yeah, it's the puzzle of it. It's the the moving parts that I really enjoy. I just need to adjust one chord. I'm not gone. I'm listening still.
All right.
Well, it's interesting that you say that, because I do think that when I write poetry and so on, there is a puzzle aspect of how am I going to make everything fit together, which solving that riddle or solving that puzzle sometimes relates to poker in the same way of solving the riddle of how I'm going to get the most money out of an individual or play a particular hand. So it's interesting how many of these things that seem to be pretty disparate from poker a lot of people tend to show an interest in who play the game, which will a little foreshadowing. It'll be involved in another question I have later, but I did find that interesting.
Yeah, and fancy play syndrome can also be true in writing as well. So it's definitely something that can apply in that sense. And in the same way, just like they teach you with visual art, it's important to leave space in art. So sometimes, having a little bit of just being a little more sparse and, being, having less is more sometimes, right? So that is part of the fun in writing, indeed.
Okay. Well, my series of questions, and I do have several for you, Claudio, are going to center around your working for Poker News as a live tournament reporter, so that our audience can get a little bit of background and get to know you a little better as far as that part of your life goes. And the first question is pretty simple, and that's, how did you get started writing with Poker News?
Yeah, they just had an ad up, and they had a prompt. I think the prompt was who might be the most influential person of the World Series that year. So yeah, I wrote that prompt, and they called me for an interview and interviewed with them. And
what year was that?
That was 3 years ago. So 2022.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 2022. The summer of 2022 was my rookie media year. And I swore by the end of it that I'd never do it again. But by the end of that first summer, 7 weeks is a long time.
It is not as easy as people think it is. It's very long hours. Like I said, I always tell people the players are there long, but the reporters are there even longer. For people that don't know the background, have to get there if you're covering it usually an hour or so before, and then you're there afterwards writing like I said, I do remember. It's been 6 years, but I remember.
Yeah.
So, and to delve a little further, do you remember some of maybe your favorite or least favorite things about being a live tournament reporter?
Yeah, I mean, the hardest part is, the hours and being on your feet, for so much, and also like when you're live reporting, one of the hardest things is you don't get to choose what happens or what you witness, right? So in terms of, it's not always interesting, right?
Mm-hmm.
And especially in the early phases of the tournament, when the chips don't have as much value and the hands are less impactful, it's not always the most entertaining. As far as like favorite moments, I mean, it's like I still get goosebumps every time I see somebody win a bracelet. Like every time I see a tournament come to fruition, like, and I see that person realize that they won and that they, tournament's over, they won it, they won all the chips. It's a very exciting moment, and it's like palpable. And so it's one of those things that there's for sure a trade-off, and there's a balance there, in that it's, what did Brunson say? It's out, or what? hours of boredom followed by moments of sheer terror or whatever excitement. It's kind of like that, it's like where, yeah, it can be mundane and the hours are long and the grind is there. But when it's exciting, it's exciting.
And I actually can agree with that because I remember, and again, 6 years ago, a couple of final tables that I covered. And to be honest, I didn't know the people I was covering, but like you said, that you feel when they win that bracelet, you actually, I can speak from experience, feel something yourself. I mean, it's a really cool moment. Like I said, I didn't know Joe Schmo other than the reporting I was doing, but just to see, like I said, to know that you were there at that moment for them, it was, I will say, I can happily relate to that. It was pretty cool. So
yeah.
I can understand that. Do you remember a favorite hand that you've reported?
I have a few hands that are interesting. I have like some fun color hands that I wrote that I really enjoyed. Most recently, at the beginning of the World Series, I wrote a hand between Martin Cabral, Nick Schulman, and Sean Deeb were all sitting at a table together. And that hand ended up going viral. And it was kind of like a mini essay because it was like not just the hand that happened, but also just like the drama between the three players at the table. And I guess I don't need to be vague about it. Essentially, what we all know, Martin Cabral is a motor mouth. He talks a lot at the table. He does slow play down at the table. And this is day 2 of an event where they didn't bag in the money. And they've been approaching money the whole time. And Nick Schulman and Martin Cabral have been sitting at the same table all day. And Cabral's just been needling Schulman. Like, just because Schulman has been on a short stack all day, the bubble's been approaching. He like is just ninjaing his super short stack and eventually gets into the money. But he spins it up and he has chips and he ends up playing this massive pot against Martin Cabral where Cabral bets big on river and Schulman moves in for like 2.2x. Like he goes all in for like, it's barely more than a click. Like it's not like a massive all in response. And Cabral's like thinking, and he gets, the dealer tells him off because he starts to talk about his hand, which you're not supposed to talk about your hand. Then heads up, whatever. There's that specific rule. So he reminds him of that. And he says he has a full house, but not the best full house. And he ends up like hemming and hawing. Eventually, call clock, he mucks. He ends up folding, and Schulman windmills top 2. So he just has both blockers. He had ace jack for top 2 pair. And Cabral, like, just like, it was palpable silence. Like Cabral's pissed. Like Cabral just got bluffed off of a full house. This is Omaha for whatever it's worth, just to make the fold seem less crazy. But either way, he ends up folding the full house, and he's sitting there stewing. And Nick Schulman just like breaks the silence perfectly in the way only Nick Schulman would do, and he says, "Say my name, Martin," which.
Hoping that was the story you were finishing with.
It was, yeah. And it was just so good because for me, as somebody who'd been walking by the table all day, like I had been hearing like Martin couldn't keep Nick's name out of his mouth. He kept needling Nick and Nick saying, Nick, like, so it was a perfectly said statement with perfect timing. So I love those moments, where it's not just the hand, it's not just the action, I see a lot of ace king versus queens, and those aren't like, those whatever, so yeah. But yeah, I've got a bunch of fun ones. There's an employees event once where somebody raised under the gun and they accidentally revealed their hand was sticky or something. They accidentally revealed their hand, and everybody at the table like pretended to not have seen their hand, and they like mucked around to the big blind, and the big blind had like 14 bigs or something. He went all in, and then he showed that he had ace queen, which was a normal jam. He was like, it was just funny. Everybody pretended, and even the guy who jammed was like, the guy who had opened had raised Jack 10 suited, which is a funny spot, right? Because the big blind's kind of incentivized to jam on Jack 10 suited always, right? Because how's the person going to feel like, about their hand? So it was a funny, cute spot that would only like happen at the employees event because it's a very different environment at the employees event. Yeah. But yeah, I like those types of moments. There's a little more color at the table.
Is the WSOP your favorite series to cover, and will you be returning next year?
It's the only thing I've covered. So I've done a little bit of remote work for Poker News, but not a lot. So I love the World Series. I mean, it's my favorite series. I feel sad every time it's over. I would say the odds are that I will likely work with Poker News to some capacity. I would say it's more likely than not. Yeah.
Nice. So we've talked about you as a poet. We've talked about you as a Poker News reporter. Now, people might know you actually got started in the service industry. Like you worked in the service industry for a long time. Several of our panelists have also spent some time in the streets. And how did that affect your relationship with food? How did it affect your relationship with like the dining experience and that style of entertaining?
You know, what's funny is that I could never hold down a poker profit in my 20s because every time I had a winning session, it just meant I had a nicer dinner. In terms of, I mean, I used to joke because I've worked at a lot of nice places, and I would joke that I would start a job for the money, but I would stay there because they fed me. And everywhere I worked had like high quality food. So in terms of, it makes me hate Las Vegas a lot of the time, just because if you don't have comps, the food can be really expensive. And I'm like, you know, in terms like, I like authentic food from a food truck. You know what I mean? Like I'm more of a, you know, quality over ambiance type of guy. Mm-hmm. So as far as that goes, you know, it made me appreciate the finer things more. But yeah, I definitely, like, literally throughout all my 20s, like if I won $500 in a cash game, like, you know, 200 was going towards a nice dinner, you know. It was
And are you an active, like, do you cook in your private time, like for yourself or for roommates or family or friends? Is it something that you enjoy?
Yeah, I cook. Yeah, I like to cook for my family. Actually, on New Year's, I cooked a big meal for like 8 or 9 people in my family. That's fun to do. I enjoy it. I did get to do both back of house and front of house throughout my years in the food service industry, and I picked up a lot. I enjoy cooking myself. I don't cook for myself that much. Like sometimes if I know I have like a tournament series or something, I will meal prep. Like I'll have one cook day and I'll like meal prep for the next 5 or 6 days. But for the most part, I'm like less incentivized to cook for myself. I like cooking for other people.
Yeah, I hear that. That makes a lot of sense. And of course, where he really likes to cook is on the global Twitch streets. We're going to have some questions about that coming up in just a second. First, I just want to remind. Thank you. Episode 719 or something. I mean, we've done this a few times. I want to again give some love to our YouTube chatters. If you've got any questions for Claudio, make sure you get them in there. And I want to remind our YouTube folks that we are going to do this raffle at the end of the show to benefit a local food bank, but it also benefits us. And if folks want to send us a super chat or a super sticky or a super comment or whatever and help us right through YouTube, we share a portion of all of our YouTube donations with a local food bank. In the month of August, those donations will go to the Second Harvest Heartland in Minnesota. And if you want to help us out in other ways, you can go to rec.poker/support. Of course, nothing would make us feel better than if you joined our premium membership for only $22 a month. You can get your first month for only $5 by using the code podcast at checkout. Or you can check out our Patreon platform, where for only $10 a month, you can download almost all of our training videos that are in our premium membership are available for download as an audio podcast right to your phone. So there's lots of ways to help us out and to help out some causes that mean a lot to us as well. And go to rec.poker/support to find out more about those and to help out your local food bank as well. So going from the service industry into poker, now you're spending a lot of your time as a streamer. Poker streaming is still kind of in the service industry. Like you're still entertaining people, you're still providing that service. What do you think of them as being similar?
No, I mean, in terms of like, you know, I think I'm overall a pretty friendly guy, but like I'm allowed to stew and curse and be mad on the stream. You know, like there's less of a face that I have to put on streaming than I had to waiting tables. But in terms of like there being regulars, like there are regulars, you know, that show up, and there's some people that always like have a similar style of humor, or they're always like, you know, come in and use the same emotes, and there is like a little bit of maybe a Cheers quality to you know, hosting a Twitch stream for as long as I have, just because over the years, yeah, you accumulate people like, and they just keep showing up, and then before you know it, you just know who they are. So that's kind of in terms of having regulars at a restaurant, I suppose that part is similar. Yeah.
Yeah. And what prompted you to start streaming, and how, like, why stream?
Yeah, good question. I had made a Twitch a very long time ago, just like a throwaway to hang out with friends and play Magic the Gathering. And we would draft, which drafting is a way of like building a deck on the spot, and then we'd build decks, whatever, and just kind of a way to goof around and play a game, but still be social. Which I guess is kind of what ended up being the incentive to resurface with poker. But global poker ended up being a big influence as far as incentivizing me to stream more. They asked me to join their stream team, and at this point I've been doing it for like 4 years now. So I stream on their channel a few days a week, and then it just kind of like motivated me to stream more on my channel as well. And it's fun having the community. It's like when you guys asked me if I prefer to play poker online or live. Online always feels like practice for live to me, even if you're playing for stakes or for money or whatever. And live has a social aspect. When you're playing online, and if you're a sicko like me and you're playing 12 tables or whatever, and it can be very antisocial. So just by Twitch streaming, it's able to like, you know, mitigate that, and then that way there's a social aspect to the game again.
I love that. And yeah, that's definitely, you know, a lot of people talk about poker as being like this lone wolf endeavor, but it really is something that's best enjoyed with others. Yeah, that's for sure. So a way to be able to maintain that. Now, you weren't always a poker personality. When you were just coming up in the game, like, where did you learn poker? Tell us what it was like for you to fall in love with the game of poker.
Yeah, I always liked the idea of poker, but never really had an opportunity to play. And it's kind of a cute story. I was on a road trip with my ex-wife, and we were driving through California. And the night before we were going to go visit a family member of mine, we stayed the night in a shitty motel, and ended up just flicking through the channels, and poker was on ESPN, and we just ended up watching it all night and laughing at the people with the hoodies and glasses and like how intense they looked, and trying to get reads on people and trying to be like, oh, they look like this because of that, you know. And we're total amateurs, but it was just fun people watching. We already enjoyed people watching. And the next day we went to go visit my aunt, and she just put the idea in my head. At this point I was in my like early 20s, and she's just like, you'd be good at poker. She was like, you should try it. She's like, you're good at math, you're good at reading people. She's like, might be good for you or something, you know. And so I used one of the I think at the time it was like Zynga Poker, like the free poker app on Facebook or whatever, and then just played on there until like I understood, like felt comfortable with the rules, right, and hand rankings and everything. And finally, my ex-wife was out of town on a trip or something. And at that point in the casino, they were running, it was either Limit Hold'em or Limit 08. And I didn't know how to play Omaha High-Low. So I played Limit Hold'em for the first time in my life. I'd been practicing No Limit, but ended up staying up all night, played like 10 hours of Limit Hold'em and broke even. And I was hooked.
Yeah, nice.
I think I made $8.
Sweet.
Yeah. And
humble brag.
Yeah, humble brag. Yeah, exactly. You know, I made 2 big bets. You know, it was 2
Hey,
fours.
when's the last time? When's the last time you went to the movies for 8 hours and made $8? Come on,
That's
this
right.
is a pretty good hobby to have, as far as I'm concerned. When'd you last go
That's right.
bird watching for 8 hours and come home with $8 in your pocket? No, that sounds fantastic.
Exactly. But yeah, I mean, it's just a great game. You know, and poker's a great game in terms of depth. It's one of those things where if you're even a little bit good, if you're just good enough to keep winning a little bit here and there, I don't know, every time you plateau and then you make it through that plateau and then you realize there's a bunch of stuff you didn't know, and it's a great game. It's a very easy to get caught up in.
I was talking with a coaching client today, and we were talking about how wonderful it is to find something like poker that you can study for the rest of your life and enjoy studying for the rest of your life and never perfect and never solve. And it's always going to be there for you to kind of work on yourself. I think that's such a rewarding and wonderful thing about this game that a lot of people really get a lot out of. Joe Coolis in the YouTube chat says he went bird watching once and found a $10 bill. God damn it! You always got to one up me there. You always got to one up me, Joe. Okay, fair enough. Good point. Claudio, my last question, then I'll throw it back to the crowd here. As you've gotten more involved in the industry as a reporter, as a streamer, as someone that people recognize, how has your love of the game evolved?
Yeah, I think what I want from the game has changed as my presence and reputation has increased, right? In terms of like I used to just want to be the best poker player. Like I just, you dream of being the best, you dream of winning all the money. That's like, the initial delusions of poker are like that, And as time passed, I like when a dealer pushes and is happy to see me at their table, that makes me happy. When I am at a final table and either I bust or somebody else busts and somebody shakes my hand and says, it was a pleasure playing with you, I love that moment. So it mattered now that people know who I am, not that I'm a famous poker player. I'm not. I just have been showing up to poker stops for long enough that I get recognized. And like I said, it's the dealers, it's the staff, it's the floor people, it's the people that run everything. And when those people show appreciation for me, that means a lot, because it means that I'm being a good person, right? Being a good representative for somebody who plays the game. So yeah, I think that's been something that's evolved the most, from just being like a random person who was playing a poker tournament. I've now experienced every level of it zoomed out, right? As being a reporter, as running deep in tournaments or busting tournaments. I've been around the block enough. When I sit down in a poker tournament, I don't just see the cards in front of me anymore. It's I see the staff and I see the dealers and I see the dealer rotation, and I notice if the dealer hasn't been pushed for a while, stuff like that. But yeah, that's I'd say the biggest kind of evolution. I still want to win all the money. I still would love to be the best, but it's a lot more attainable just to be a good person, I guess.
I love that.
Yeah.
So my foreshadowed question has to do with my further cyber stalking of you, where I was fascinated to see that you actually created a separate poker game and had a Kickstarter campaign to sell it. And one of the reasons that I kind of caught it, first and foremost, I mean, the foreshadowing was I've been a Magic the Gathering player since I was in college, and which was many, many years ago at this point. I mean, I started playing when, many of the cards that are worth a lot of money actually came out. So that's how old I am. But I was interested in your card game because it's a lot like a game that my son showed me called Balatro, which I don't know if you're familiar with it, but and the card, you are familiar with it. That it's like fusing the best parts of Magic actually into poker, of changing what you can do when certain cards come or with activators. How did you come up with that game, and has it been successful at all beyond the Kickstarter campaign?
So unfortunately, the Kickstarter did not make it for that game. That being said, my goal was rather high, particularly for a deck of cards. And there's a couple of reasons for that. One is, as you guys poker players know, 100% plastic cards are very important. So the quality of the cards are really important. So I had a higher, my Kickstarter goal was $20,000. And usually, like for the type of game that I was doing, usually people have lower thresholds. In terms of there's a few aspects to this question. I'm very proud of the game. It's called Hold'em for Dear Life. I recently got the copyrights for it. We're still in motion trying to get the funding to be able to do our first print run. And if everything goes well, we'll have it we'll have it for sale by October. So that's the game plan, or end of September. So if everything goes according to plan. So fingers crossed, I'm hoping for that. It's in terms of how I end up thinking of it. So I've watched a lot of people play Balatro, and I've played a little bit myself. I'm afraid of playing it too much because I love games, and I always tell people, don't teach me new games. I already, like pool, poker, and Magic is like just those 3 games are like enough to like, keep my brain busy for all of eternity. But it's a great game, and I think it's very cool that it succeeded so much. But the difference between my game and that game is that game, Balatro, is kind of solitaire on crack. It is like, there's like, it's very fast to play. It's progressive. There's like no 2 games are the same. They did a great job with the design of that game. I think it's, but my game is essentially, it's poker. It's designed to play flop games with. Most of the play testing has been Hold'em or PLO. But in theory, any game that has flops, turns, and rivers, you could use my deck of cards with. What is different about my deck of cards is that there are added mechanics. So there are ways to discard and redraw cards. There are cards that are like prop bets that are built in, right? So like if the 5 of hearts hits the flop, everybody at the table throws 2 big blinds into the pot. And all of the 5s do something like that. If a 5 hits the flop, something fun happens. Like if the 5 of spades comes, whoever has the lowest spade in the hole at showdown wins half the pot. So it essentially is just adds layers to the game. Like one of the simplest designs that I really like actually is all of the 7s just count for 2 suits. Every single 7 in the deck, there's no text on them or anything. There's just 2 different pips on it. It counts for 2 suits. And the only rule that I added with my deck of cards is that you can't have a pair in your flush. So you can't use the 7 of hearts twice to make a flush. I had an idea for a game like this forever. And it's funny because it's not that I necessarily love bomb pots, but when bomb pots first became popular, I was sitting there playing at I think it was a card house in Texas. But there's like 3 or 4 people who are kind of like, everybody's got ADHD nowadays. We got our phone. Some people bring a book. Like sometimes people are literally watching a movie while they're playing, a cash game. And bomb pots made it so everybody paid attention at the same time. Like it was like, it's this moment where it's like you can see everybody lock in, everybody sweating the same board at the same time. So I wanted to kind of like bottle and sell that. So with my experience with playing Magic the Gathering and other games, I always, anytime I look at a game, I always like consider the game design and what makes this game tick. Why is it good? Is it the pacing? Is it the complexity? Is it the lack of complexity? So I spent a lot of time designing the game so that, as complicated as it might sound that my game is, and it's really not that complicated. It takes most people 30 minutes of playing a few orbits and they get the gist and they're like, oh, okay, I get it. And I designed the game so that like all of the 6s do the same thing. The only difference is spades are pre-flop, hearts are on the flop, diamonds are on the turn, and clubs are on the river. So they're like, and that design is true of like the entire deck, So as you can tell, I'm really passionate about it. I love the game. I think I've poured about 3 years of effort into this game. So what ended up motivating it is one of my best friends. I've known him since we were 13 years old. Brilliant guy. We ended up being like roommates freshman year of college. He calls me out of the blue and he's like, hey, I know you've had a bunch of projects. You've been like, doing some entrepreneurial stuff. He's like, whatever your next project is, I want in on it. So right then and there, I told him, hey, I've had an idea for a game, like a poker-based game. If you want to help me design it, let's do it. And so it started off as a spreadsheet, and now it's, been many play tests and many iterations, and I hired an artist to do all the custom art and everything. And here's the packaging, but this is hold him for dear life. This is my baby. This is my baby, the deck of cards. So yeah, I don't want to eat up the whole interview.
No, that's very cool. Very cool. I'm as you talk about it, I'm kind of reminded of one of my favorite things, again, from high school, college, which was reading Calvin and Hobbes and the construct of Calvin Ball, and how passionately Calvin would talk about the development of his game, even though it was, and not that your game is nonsense, but his was just nonsense. But you can just see kind of the joy that comes out of adding these things into a creative endeavor, and then to try to be able to market that and share it. And look, I haven't had the opportunity to play your game, but I'm looking forward to seeing how it goes. And I hope to God it isn't just another hobby that my wife gets mad at me for spending too much time on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. The idea was to really spice up people's home games. Like it's mostly meant to play cash, and a lot of the play testing we did 25 cent, 50 cent cash games, but the chips are flying and there's stuff happening, and it's just more action. It's more stuff happening. Yeah.
Can't wait to check it out.
Yeah.
Leaving the lighthearted realm of fun and games, we've got a very serious question from Rock.
Yeah, I'm very, very curious about your training regimen as you prepared for the seed spitting competition that you won very recently. What was that prep like? I mean, what do you, I know you had to dig deep. You had to really,
blind confidence. It was blind, supreme confidence. I was eyeing the competition. I was looking at the tarp, and I was like, I could smoke these guys. And I will admit, as a kid, when I'd eat a watermelon, I would always spit the seeds. I'd never just, I'd launch them. I was trying to plant watermelon trees. But yeah, I just stepped up to the plate and tried my best. Played my heart out.
Congratulations on the championship. That's quite a feat.
Thank you.
Yeah. You'd been practicing your whole life. You didn't even know, but this was
exactly. I literally didn't know I'd been practicing my whole life, but I was watching. I was like, man, these people's form is all off. They don't even know what they're doing. They're not even rolling their tongue.
Amateur hour.
Amateur hour. Yeah. It was a soft field.
I do have a question regarding that, and I quote your 29 feet bitches, even though it is a family show. What was the runner-up? How far did they spit? Out of curiosity, was it even 24 close?
No, I was 5 feet ahead of them. They were 24 feet.
24
Savage.
Feet.
Yeah.
What did you win?
Free melon.
Okay.
Free melon. It was the melon ball. Of course, I won a melon. I told him I was gonna frame it.
Nice.
That's fantastic. All right, well, folks, I want you to start typing the words food bank into the YouTube chat. We're coming along to the end of the episode. You still have time to get a couple of questions in if you like. But all you have to do to enter our raffle is just type the words food bank or the word food bank, we're not that picky, into the YouTube chat. And the reason we support this cause is because it's just an increasingly difficult time in the world for a lot of people. And you might be surprised who in your own neighborhood, in your own community, might need a little help putting food on the table for themselves or their families, their loved ones, their kids. And just like we try and reduce the stigma from being a rec or a recreational poker player around here, we also try and reduce the stigma of just getting some help when you need some help. And a lot of people need help right now. And the great way to help out your neighbor, a great way to make the world a better place in your own backyard is just to support your local food bank. So if you pull out your smartphone right now and Google food banks near me, you'll find a fantastic organization or two or three that can really benefit from a few dollars out of your pocket, a few hours out of your week as a volunteer, or some non-perishable food items from your own pantry. And I really would encourage you to go do that and make the world a better place by helping hungry people eat food. And all we ask is that you just type the words food bank into the YouTube chat, because then I get to say food bank like 15 or 30 times. And we're going to give away a fantastic prize at the end of the show to someone who enters our little raffle here. So please do jump in here. Rob Washam, do we know what fantastic prize we're giving away this week on the RecPoker podcast?
This week we're giving away a free month of RecPoker Premium membership. But if you're already a premium member, you can choose a free month of premium from one of our learning partners. You can choose from partners like PokerCoaching.com, Jaka Coaching, Learn Pro Poker, the Poker Forge, or Red Chip Poker, to name a few. And you can check out their offers by visiting rec.poker/partners.
Right on. Rob is officially RecPoker's Santa Claus, and he gets to reach into his sack of toys every week on the show and hand out some fantastic prizes. So way to go, Rob. Thanks for all the work you do with our Learning Partners program, and I hope we get to give away a fantastic month of poker learning to one of our listeners tonight. So we're going to take our last couple questions from the YouTube chat here, and then we'll roll on out with Stake, Study, Stack. You mentioned, Claudio, that you were quite a reader when you were younger. That's something a lot of this panel has in common as well. What were your favorite genres to read as a young adult or as a youth or as a kid? And maybe some of your favorite books or authors from that genre?
Yeah, I liked all kinds of books. I definitely liked fiction. I recently I liked Lloyd Alexander had a series. It was the Black Cauldron. The Black Cauldron series. Anyways, I recently actually bought his whole series again and reread it as an adult, and I really enjoyed it.
Awesome.
Yeah, I enjoyed Melvin Burgess's had a couple books, including Smack, which was kind of serious. That was like I read when I was 12 or 13, but that was like hugely impactful to me. But yeah, I read so much. If it was available to me, I'd read it. Yeah.
Do you have a favorite poker book? Have you read many poker books as a training aid?
Yeah, I've got some right behind me here. Which one's my favorite? Well, I mean, I do have some like books that I like. I recommend the Scoop series if you're trying to learn high-low, PLO8 or Big O. I've recommended it to several people or let people borrow the books. Greg Vail does a great job of breaking it down. It's a bit of a slog though. I mean, it really is just a study, in terms of like bettering your game. But there's a couple of books in this pile that are like just like fun poker books that I can recommend to people. One of them is Ship It Halabalas. I guess I can show you guys. Ship It Halabalas. This is about a group of online people. It's like Tom Dwan and it's just stupid. It's entirely for fun. And I say it's stupid. It's just about a bunch of 20-year-old brats playing poker and being super cocky and the kind of stuff that they get into. And then similarly, like I have Amarillo Slim's book, which he talks about all kinds of crazy prop bets he did, what life was like as an gambler. The Biggest Bluff from Maria Konnikova is great. So I do like some poker books, but the ones I enjoy more are usually less for studying. They're more for the lore.
Nice.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you already. You've pulled a few things out of that bookshelf behind you. What is, if you had to pick one item, not your baby, which is your favorite item on that whole bookshelf?
Oh shit!
Not hold them for dear life, but what's
not the baby. If I can only pick one, man.
We never said this was going to be easy.
This is the hardest question you've asked me, and look how cluttered this is.
I know
a lot of stuff on my shelf here.
That's on you, bro.
That is on me. It's
4 hours later.
4 hours later. Yeah, exactly. I can't pick, man. I guess maybe my first trophy, Whichever one was the first one. I'll keep that one. You know,
Claudio, I got a question here. This is producer Rob in the background, aka Poker Pastor on Global. What's it like to have so many global trophies that half of them become hat racks?
You know, I'm rich. What can I say? You know, I just, you know, trophies come easy for me. You know, I've been lucky and many times. Yeah. Well, the thing is, the hats are also trophies too. These are final table hats that are hung there. So, you know, they're all just trophies on trophies on trophies.
Much respect. Much respect.
Nice to hear you. And we've definitely played against each other a lot. And I think we have a mutual friend as well.
We do.
Yeah.
Rob doesn't have nearly as many hats.
Or trophies.
Yeah. I'm a try hard. I'm so competitive that literally like the leaderboards and putting a trophy on it makes me try harder. It makes me more competitive. Like there's a reason I find a lot of success when they do like those series is because it's trophy hunting, and then there's a leaderboard, so I'm just more incentivized to be a super try hard.
It does seem like there's kind of like a social group at Global there. It feels like there's a more connected community of players there than on some of the other sites that I'm familiar with. Why do you think that is? Like, why is that?
I think it's a lot has to do with their model, and they always tried to be a social gaming site. That was always their incentive. That Twitch community really is tight knit. You know, it's like a lot of those people like when I do giveaways, and I like at the end of the day, if I gave away 5 or 6 things or something, I recognize all the names on that list, you know, because they all just show up so consistently. I think it's just because they offer a lot of like fun, low stakes stuff. They do all these little mini series, but like I said, they make it about the people. There's some things that people like, you know, the pros don't like. They're like, you know, they want rake back and they want this or that, the other, and Global doesn't like. They do in their ring games, but in tournaments, you know, you're not really rewarded for volume for the most part. Like it's just, you know, they're trying to make sure that the guy who's just playing one tournament on his phone, watching TV, is having a good time, you know? So yeah, I think the game integrity is important. No bots, and that matters a lot. Yeah.
We've got a couple comments from the YouTube chat. Kenny says Bobby Baldwin's good is great for lore. Bobby Baldwin's book is great for lore.
Oh, okay. I'll keep that in mind.
Eric Anderson says Juan Canary melon seeds are horrible for spitting, but the melon is good. Excellent. Good to know. And Eric, I'm curious, Eric, get back in the chat and tell us what is it about the seeds that make them horrible for spitting. And this is competitive spitting, I assume he's talking about. And he wants to know, point forward or point backward on the seed when you're spitting competitive?
Fat side forward.
Okay,
fat side
sounds
forward.
Like point back. All right.
Yeah, so point back.
Is there any other type of spitting except for competitive spitting? I mean,
I'm more of a recreational spitter.
Yeah. Watermelon spitting for rolls.
And Eric says they're small and white. Okay. All right. Well, you know, we don't have to bring Joe right into the conversation every time that we get to. Buzzing. Here we go. You've mentioned mixed games. Do you have a favorite mixed game?
Man, I love the Omaha variants, but if I had to pick one, it would probably be Dramaha. Are you guys familiar with Dramaha?
I'm familiar with it.
All right, I'll give a quick overview. It won't take me long. You get dealt 5 cards. It's pot limit Omaha. You get dealt 5 cards. On the flop, there is a drawing round, and you can draw up to 3 cards. You can draw up to 3 cards, and it's chop pot game. So half of the pot gets rewarded to the regular Omaha hand, so 3 cards from the board, 2 cards from your hand, and half the pot gets rewarded to, it's called the mitt, the best hand in your hand. So it's like 5-card draw meets pot limit Omaha. It's super fun. It's very Omaha's like really popular in Oregon. I had no idea when I moved here, but they call it spittin here because they do a variant where if you show the ace and keep the ace, you can draw 4 cards. which is pretty wild. But yeah, so spittin or drama is probably, if I had to pick, like, it's got to be a good table, shorthanded.
Sure.
Otherwise, it takes forever.
Wow.
People hemming and hawing what they want to draw.
Yeah, that doesn't strike me as a game where one pair is often good.
No, not at all. Not at all. So, I mean, the big pairs in the mitt help a lot, that way if you're drawing on the board and everybody missed their draw and your big pair holds or whatever, but
Oregon's a spread limit state, right?
No, it's not actually. No, Washington is.
Washington is. Okay, I got that wrong. They're the same state anyway, right? It's just Washington and Oregon.
No, yeah, the whole Pacific Northwest. If it weren't for that law, Washington and Oregon would be the same. Yeah, that's the only differentiator.
All right, well, I've got one more question, and then we'll play Stake, Study, Stack, and wrap up this week's show. There's this weird movement on like YouTube censorship of gambling stuff, and all these online poker markets or poker operators seem to be leaving like American markets and that kind of thing. We're on this precipice of what feels like could be an important contraction in the online poker world. What would you do if online poker just went away tomorrow?
Yeah, I mean, it would suck, and it's for sure something within the realm of possibilities to a certain degree. I mean, I would play live more for sure. I don't know if my lifestyle would be as sustainable. Who knows if my win rate would be enough to sustain what I'm doing. Because like I said, I mean, I'm a sicko. I'll play 12 to 15 tables at peak hours, and you can't do that live. You're able to overcome variance much easier playing online than you are live. That being said, there's edges live that aren't available to you online. So in terms of, the games are softer, live tells, this, that, and the other. That being said, like, online poker, I don't think will ever die. It'll just become more dangerous in terms of there will always be some app or some way to play online poker. It's just a matter of how easy it is to get your money and the integrity of the games that you're playing in. So really, I mean, no one wins. It's one of those things. It's like, there's certain markets, they're just going to exist regardless of whether or not the laws allow them. And gambling is one of those things. And so it's just one of those things where the government just needs to take their cut, man. Take your tax and let it be regulated. And then we have legitimate businesses and, plug us into the network, yeah, I mean, that's just kind of is what it is. Like I said, I mean, I'd like to think I'd be all right if there was no online poker, but for sure it would like dramatically change my life. It would dramatically change my life.
Well, hopefully it's a long way off.
Yeah. I think we'll be all right. There's always some doom looming, So
that's right. all the old school backgammon players like me, we know what it's like to lose your game online. But poker does feel like it's got a long way to go. We're all rooting for that as well. All right, well, let's play Stake, Study, Stack to close out the interview with Claudio tonight. So, Claudio, you may remember when you were younger playing a game called Kiss, Marry, Kill. You might have called it something slightly different than that. I'm going to give you 3 names. You have to choose one to stake in a poker tournament or cash game, one you'd like to study with to help you improve as a player, and one you'd like nothing more than just to stack them and take all their chips from them right there on the poker table. Are you ready, Claudio Elizalde?
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you for the names.
Your 3 names are Chris Lefty Land, God's Big Toe, and Tyler Huculak. I hope I'm saying that right.
Nice. This one's good. This is good. Yeah, so Tyler Huculak is or was saucing on you because he's based out of Nevada, and he's in my study group, and he's the most winningest player on global. Man, so saucing Tyler, God's Big Toe, and who's Lefty.
We didn't give you Dan Kennedy because we knew he'd be stacked. So we just
I would.
No free squares.
I would have snapped stacked DG Kennedy for sure. For anyone wondering who's listening to the podcast and is like, who's DG Kennedy? And DG Kennedy recommended me to Jim to come onto the podcast. He's also, we've competed a lot against each other, but we had a particularly epic leaderboard where we were neck and neck, this whole leaderboard, 10K up top, and he pipped me. And he ended up winning it. It was so we have a fun camaraderie as well as.
And you're not bitter at all. I can tell.
I'm not bitter at all.
No, water off a duck's back. That's great. I'm so glad to hear that. You're so evolved. So yeah, stake, study, stack, Lefty, God's big toe, and Tyler.
All right, I'm gonna stake Lefty because, man, I want a piece of his big win. I like Lefty is my brother in poker media. Last 3 summers we've lived together, and it's so hard not to root for him. So I want a piece. I want to stake him. So Lefty's going to be the stake. So that leaves stack and study, right? Man, I'm going to study with God's big toe because that guy, all he does is study 2-card poker. He won't even play PLO. He's too busy studying Hold'em. So I guess I'll study with him. He's a good player, very strategically sound. And I'm sorry, Sauce and Tyler, I gotta stack you. You'll be fine. You'll be fine. He's playing 10 tables anyways, so if I stack him on one, it won't matter.
You might not even notice till you rub it in later. Yeah,
exactly.
Well, that's wonderful, Claudio. Where can our audience find you if they want to watch the stream or if they want to follow you on socials? I'll make sure that the links are in the show notes. But what's the best way for people to get more Claudio Elizalde?
Yeah, so on Twitter you can find me Audio Cloud Live. On Instagram, my personal account is also Audio Cloud Live, so that's easy. But my poker account is Audio Cloud Poker. I am trying to do more content. I have a YouTube channel. It's called Bluff and Run Poker. I've edited all of those episodes. It's been a labor of love. Anytime you do those kind of projects, they require a lot of effort. So if you guys want to go over there and hit me with a sub on the YouTube channel, I did want to take a moment to give a big shout out to my buddy Bodie. He's my poker coach, and he's helped me a lot along the way, learning and getting better. So I want to give him a shout out. He's easy to find on Twitter too.
He was almost in stake, study, stack, but I was like, no. Again, this is an easy one. We're gonna make it tough.
He would have been snap study because we already studied together. Yeah. He would have been snap study for sure, and no need to stake him. I guess that's about it. I also have Instagram for Hold'em for Dear Life, my game. So it's Hold'em FDL. You can keep an eye out, but don't worry. I mean, if you just follow me on my personal accounts, I'll be shouting from the rooftops as soon as those decks are for sale. As soon as those decks are for sale, you guys are going to hear it in Alaska. So everybody's going to know once those decks are available.
Awesome. Well, we do have some members in Alaska. So Rich Deacons, I hope your ears are open because it's coming. It's coming.
Yeah, it's fun, man. It's a really fun deck of cards. A lot of times people don't like poker because it's mostly folding.
Yeah, right.
So I changed that in my game. So yeah.
Nice.
Thank you so much for having me. You guys were great. All your guys' questions were super thoughtful. I appreciate the deep dives. You guys did great. You guys are an awesome panel.
Well, thank you so much, man. Well, it was fun chatting with you. And just one more shout out from the YouTube chat here says, from Kenny says, Bluff and Run is a super fun watch. Makes you really want to grind a live series with the bros. There you go. Yeah.
And that is my editing style. I do very much try to make it feel like you're there. The first series had like no hand breakdowns, and then people requested hand breakdowns. So the second series starts to have some hand breakdowns. But yeah, I plan on releasing more episodes. I already have a backlog. I always have a backlog because video editing is so tedious. But yeah.
Nice. Well, I'm already looking forward to the next time our paths cross. Claudio, thank you again for coming on the RecPoker podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you guys so much for having me.
You're very
Until next time.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, well, we'll roll into some home game results and hand out some fantastic prizes. First, I just want to mention that right around the corner, Labor Day is next week. If you're listening to this live, you've got a week. If you're listening to this on the day that it comes out, happy Labor Day weekend. And on Monday, September 1st, will be the next holiday double stack tournament at Running Aces. So 10 a.m. is the start. It's a $200 buy-in tournament with 24,000 starting chip stack. And it's the last one until Indigenous Peoples Day on Monday, October 13th. So get out there for Labor Day and have some fun at Running Aces and tell them RecPoker sent you. Go have a good time there. John Somsky, why don't you roll us into some recent home game results, and then we're going to give away a fantastic prize and roll ourselves right on out of here.
All right, we'll start with August 18th. Rabman 50, Rob Washam.
Woo!
Got his fourth nightly victory for the year.
Yeah.
Aces 54320. Kathy Chang got her first nightly victory for the year.
There's
Dan DeResG, Daniel A. got his sixth
Nice.
nightly victory for the year. Roadstar 33 got his eighth nightly victory for the year. K Poker B wannabe Ron Payton got his 10th nightly victory for the year. And more importantly, that was his 50th lifetime victory.
Yeah.
Making him the latest entry into our Silver Lifetime Achievement Award Club.
That is so cool. Like when you think about John, when you think about putting this home game club together, and when we set that threshold of 50 home games would be the Lifetime Achievement Award, I remember thinking like, why are we even ordering these pins? Like no one's ever going to win 50 home games. And like so many years later now, it's so fantastic to be in this situation where we're looking at this and like multiple people have come hit that now. And I don't know, does it make your heart swell up in pride to?
You know, I didn't even know if we'd have people who played 50 of the home games, much less win 50 of them. So it's nice that people enjoy it. If they didn't, I probably wouldn't continue to put them on.
Seems reasonable.
Apple of my eye. Harold Berry got his fifth nightly victory for the year. Evil Roy CA, David Westerveld got his second daily mixed practice event for the year. E. Anderson 85, Eric Anderson got his second international victory for the year. B Chip, Charles Allen got his first international victory for the year.
Welcome back,
and Boise 81, Carrie Lamp got her first LPP victory for the year. So she can contact info@rec.poker for her free month at Learn Pro Poker.
Right on. Well, thank you. Oh, yeah.
I don't know, but I am guessing there may be some relation between Carrie and Roger.
I was wondering that Lamp surname travels well, but
I have no proof. So it could be that there's no relation and they're just, we have wonderful lamps in our home game club, or they might be related somehow.
There you go. Well, either way, congratulations, Carrie. And yeah, as we keep saying, the home games are free. The chips are play money, but the prizes are real. And if you play on Sunday and you knock out Ryan LaPlante, if he's playing in our Sunday home game, or if you just win the Sunday LPP home game here at RecPoker, you win a free month of training at Learn Pro Poker, which is our oldest learning partner. And we love supporting what they do over there.
Hey, John, are the footstools also partners as well? Have you figured that mystery out? Or is it just the lamps?
I
no.
Wow. Yes.
Oh, is that I'm sorry, but bump where they're supposed to be that.
Definitely a dad joke.
Reserved more of a groan.
Yeah.
You know, that was like a dad joke that's only halfway there.
It's a stepdad joke.
Stepdad. Damn it, Jim! You just said this much ahead of me again.
I'm a full-fledged dad, but my kids have always said I'm half-baked. So I guess
there you go.
There you go.
Nice. All right, let's get the hell out of here, people. Jesus Christ. All right, so then, Carrie Lamp, congratulations. Send an email to info@rec.poker. You've won a free month at Learn Pro Poker. And I think we should give away a fantastic prize here to support our food bank lottery.
We should.
Invisible producer Rob Gardner.
Yeah, I got an email from Grinch at rec.poker who pointed out that with just 3 colors, we could represent the away jerseys of every single one of the Pittsburgh Steelers division rivals. So we have the Ravens, the Reds, the Bengals, and the Browns represented on our wheel this week, courtesy of Grinch at rec.poker. So
that doesn't surprise me one bit. That's so typical of that jerk Taylor Moss. Got to go. Yeah, you got to bring the purple and orange into it for me. Really? Oh my God! All right, it's gonna be. It's close. It's close. It was almost a first-time win for Kenny 322. Kenny, stick around. Join us next week. You will have just as good a chance to win a fantastic free prize. Eric Anderson, congratulations, one of the OGs here at RecPoker, and no stranger from the rig, says Katie. Yeah,
it always is. No.
Well, you can come back next week, and every week at 7:30 Eastern until September 15th, after which it'll be at 9:00 p.m. Eastern every Monday night, the same time as our home game club. That's right, Eric Anderson won it by a hair. Congratulations, Eric. Send that email to info@rec.poker. And again, I just encourage everyone to just support your local food bank. It's a nice way to make the world a better place, and I hope that you do. And of course, if you want to try out our premium membership after you've helped out that food bank, just send us the receipt from your donation, and we will happily give you your first month of premium membership for free. All right. Then I think, folks, we're going to roll on out of here. I want to thank Claudio Elizalde. I want to thank John Somsky, Lorianne Persinger, Rob Washam, Joe Coolis, and invisible producer Rob Gardner. I want to thank all our fantastic YouTube chatters, our RECing Crew members, our premium members here at RecPoker, our Patreon supporters, our community members, and you, our listeners at home. We couldn't do it without you. Thanks for joining the RecPoker Podcast. See you next week.